The man about to run India's biggest airline just called India out on international television. Willie Walsh, IndiGo's incoming CEO, told the BBC it's a country of 1.4 billion and counting, but they only have 50 wide-body aircraft. So that's probably, you could describe it as a scandal. A scandal, his word. And the more you think about it, the more you realize that he is not being dramatic. He is just saying out loud what Indian travelers have quietly known for years. Every time you fly from India to the US, the UK or Canada, you almost certainly go through Dubai or Doha or Abu Dhabi. Not because it is convenient, but because India does not have enough planes to take you there directly. Here is the full story of why that is and what it is costing you. First, a quick explanation of what a wide-body aircraft actually is. There are two types of commercial planes: narrow body, which is single aisle, 150 to 200 seats, used for short and medium routes. Think of every IndiGo flight you've ever taken. And wide body, which is a twin aisle, 250 to 400 plus seats, used for long international routes. The Air India flight to London, the Emirates flight to New York, or the Qantas flight to Sydney. Wide-body aircrafts are the only planes capable of flying non-stop from India to North America, Europe or Australia. Without them, you connect. Without enough of them, you connect through someone else's hub. India operates approximately 50 wide-body aircraft for a population of 1.4 billion people. That works out to roughly one wide-body aircraft per 28 million residents. That is the number at the center of this entire story. Let's break it down. Part 1. How absurd is 50? Let's put 50 wide-body aircraft in context because the number only means something when you compare it. United Airlines alone operates more wide-body aircraft than the entire Indian market. One American airline more wide-bodies than a country of 1.4 billion people. China, which has a similar population to India, has deployed wide-body aircrafts extensively, including on high-density domestic routes. Chinese airlines operate hundreds of wide-bodies. Around 20% of all Airbus A330-300 aircrafts in the world are operated by Chinese airlines alone. Emirates, a single airline based in a city of just 3.5 million people, operates over 120 Airbus A380s, the largest commercial aircraft ever built. Each one carries over 500 passengers. India, with 400 times the population of Dubai, has just 50 wide bodies total across all airlines. Walsh highlighted that India has huge potential for direct long-haul flights from Delhi and Mumbai instead of routing passengers through Gulf hubs. The opportunity is obvious, and the gap between the opportunity and the reality is what this video is about. Part 2. Who benefits from this gap? Here is the question nobody is asking enough. When an Indian passenger flies Delhi to New York via Dubai, who makes money? Emirates makes money on the Dubai to New York sector. Etihad makes money. Qatar Airways makes money. The Gulf carriers have built entire global business models on being the connective tissue between India and the rest of the world. Walsh said it directly. India has depended on transferring people over the Gulf hubs, particularly into North America. So that's a huge opportunity for Indian carriers to grow their presence on the global scale. Every year, tens of millions of Indians fly internationally. A significant portion of that revenue on the longest and most valuable sectors goes to foreign airlines. Not because Indian airlines don't want it, but because they don't have the planes to fly those routes. And it is not just about revenue, it is about time. A direct flight from Delhi to New York takes roughly 15 to 16 hours. Via Dubai, you're looking at more than 19 to 22 hours minimum, depending on the layover. Every Indian who has done that journey knows the exhaustion of the Dubai connection at 2 AM at night. That extra time exists entirely because India ran out of wide-body aircrafts. Part 3. Why did this happen? India did not end up with 50 wide bodies by accident. There are real structural reasons, and they connect directly to everything this channel has covered. First, ATF costs. We have done 2 full videos on this. Wide body aircrafts burn significantly more fuel than narrow body jets. On a 15-hour sector, a Boeing 777 burns tens of thousands of liters of jet fuel. With Indian ATF among the most expensively taxed fuel in the world, long-haul routes were simply not economically viable for Indian carriers for most of the last 2 decades. The math simply did not work. Second, aircraft financing. Historically, Indian airlines have struggled to secure competitive aircraft financing compared to Gulf carriers. Emirates and Qatar Airways get sovereign backing. Air India under government ownership didn't have the financial discipline to manage a large wide-body fleet, and the result, the fleet never grew. Third, regulatory and slot constraints. Long-haul routes need bilateral air service agreements, landing slots at foreign airports and government clearances. India only picked Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore and Rajkot as hub and spoke airports for international transfers from June 2026, a move that was overdue by decades. The wide-body shortage is not one problem, it is every problem in Indian aviation stacked on top of each other. Part 4. Is it actually changing? Here is where the story gets genuinely interesting because things are moving. Air India has 50 Airbus A350s, 10 Boeing 777Xs and 20 Boeing 787 Dreamliners on order, part of its historic 470 aircraft deal. Those wide bodies start arriving in meaningful numbers from 2027 onwards. IndiGo placed a firm order for 30 Airbus A350-900 aircrafts in October 2025, with purchase rights for an additional 70 more. For an airline that has never flown a wide-body in its 20-year history, that is a complete strategic pivot. The challenge is not just acquiring aircraft, it is doing so in a market where supply is constrained and competition for available capacity is intensifying. Airbus and Boeing have enormous backlogs. Every airline in the world is waiting for aircrafts. India is competing in that queue against the same Gulf carriers that have been eating its international traffic for years. Walsh is walking into IndiGo in August with a mandate to fix exactly this. He said the opportunity for India is actually to provide direct international connectivity from India to the world. He spent 5 years at IATA saying this from the outside, and now he has to deliver it from the inside. Now, what it means for you. Next time you book an international flight, check if a direct option exists from an Indian carrier, and it might surprise you. Air India now flies direct to London, New York, San Francisco, Melbourne and a growing number of long-haul destinations. IndiGo flies direct to Amsterdam, Istanbul and more cities are coming. The options are expanding slowly. If you value your time over the cheapest connection, a direct Indian carrier flight is increasingly worth checking. Fares are competitive and you skip the 3 am Dubai transit entirely. And for the bigger picture, every wide-body aircraft that an Indian airline adds is one more sector of revenue that stays in India instead of flowing to an international hub. Over millions of passengers across years, that is a structural shift in who benefits from Indian aviation's growth. The scandal Walsh described is real, but for the first time in a long time, it is also being addressed. India has 1.4 billion people, just 50 wide-body planes and a man about to run its biggest airline who called that a scandal on the BBC. The gap is closing but slowly and on someone else's timeline. Here is my question for you. Have you ever chosen a Gulf carrier over an Indian one for a long-haul flight? And if so, why? Was it price? Was it timing? Was it experience? Tell me in the comments. New video every Thursday at 7 pm. Like, share and subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.